Hi, this is Ryan Houmand, CEO and founder of Qwerke, and I'm here to talk to you today about the 12 elements of employee engagement. I'm also author of the book called A Passion for Monday, because I believe everyone can love Monday just like Friday, but for a different reason. The other thing I often do is I'm on ABC, CBS, NBC, and Fox talking about the 3 mistakes that make people hate Monday. And that's has a lot to do with employee engagement. So that's what we're here to talk about today. And I want to share screens with you for the most part, so you won't have to look at my face all day long here. So give me just a second here. We'll start the screen share, and then we'll talk about the 12 elements of employee engagement. If you have questions as we go through this, simply write any questions you have in the chat. If you're not watching live, then feel free to contact me directly at Ryan, R-Y-A-N, at QWERKE.com. Ryan at Qwerke.com. Let's get started. All right, here we go. We should be sharing the screen now. You should see right there a great definition of employee engagement. Engaged employees are involved in, enthusiastic about, and committed to their work and contribute to their organization in a positive manner. I want to talk about how employee engagement really drives everything. It's the one lever you can pull that will impact profitability, productivity, safety, overall quality, employee retention, client satisfaction, all of those things. And so I've got some statistics here based on top quartile versus bottom quartile companies for employee engagement. And these statistics come from Gallup, who has more information on employee engagement than anyone else. They've been collecting it for over 30 years, and they've been not only collecting it and measuring it, they've been analyzing it and giving us great statistics like these. So when you look at top quartile versus bottom quartile companies, top quartile companies will have 10% higher customer ratings. So 10% higher customer satisfaction. They will have 22% higher profitability, 21% higher productivity, 25% lower turnover in high turnover organizations, 65% lower turnover in low turnover organizations, 28% less shrink when you've got inventories, 37% fewer safety incidents where safety is a factor. And this one's a great one, 41% fewer patient safety incidents in hospitals, and 41% fewer quality defects overall. Show me the money. That's something we heard from the movie Jerry Maguire, right? Well, the association between salary and job satisfaction is very weak. This is from an article recently in the Harvard Business Review. That is, unless your employees are not engaged, then it's the only thing keeping them on the job. Money is everything if you are not engaging your employees. That's why it's so important. There are 3 types of employees we'll start out with here. Engaged, those are the ones who are psychologically committed, likely to stay. Not engaged, these are employees who may be productive, mostly when you're watching them, not psychologically connected, they're likely to miss days, and they're likely to leave the organization at the first sniff of a better offer. Then you've got the actively disengaged, those who are physically present but psychologically absent. They're unhappy, and they insist on sharing that unhappiness at the water cooler and up and down the halls every day. I like to think of this image. You are a captain of a rowboat, and you've got 10 people on this rowboat. They're your team. If your engagement is like engagement across the United States, you've got 3 people rowing that boat, and they're very diligent. You got 5 people who are probably letting their oars fall in the water, and they're rowing when you're watching them. And then you've got 2 people they've thrown their oars overboard, and they're starting to drill holes in your boat. It's a very instructive image, but that's the picture of employee engagement in the US today. And worldwide, it's even worse. It's only 13% who are engaged. So why 12 elements? Well, when Gallup started examining employee engagement back in the 70s, they started, and since that time, they've examined more than 1 million employees and used thousands of questions. And while they did their research, they arrived at 12 elements that are the most powerful in explaining employees' productive motivations on the job. They're linked to those 9 integral performance outcomes that I showed you with the top and bottom quartile companies. And here is a key element. Managers have the single greatest impact on engagement. Again, managers account for as much as 70% of the variance in employee engagement. So this is a manager issue, and it's a local manager issue, not the CEO, not the VP, not the director, except for their immediate teams. It is the local manager, whether they are the newest supervisor or the CEO of the organization, whoever their team is, they're responsible for their engagement for the most part. So why these specific items? After all the research, they arrived at 3 criteria in identifying these 12 elements. These elements had to distinguish high-performing teams from low-performing teams. They needed to be linked to specific important business outcomes like productivity and profitability and absenteeism and those things we've talked about. And the responsibility for managing and improving performance related to these items had to reside with the local manager. There's an example of best friend at work. We're going to talk more about this later on, so I won't spend much time there. So why should I care? If I'm a manager, why should I care about employee engagement? Because engaged teams make everything easier. All the meaningful metrics that you're chasing are impacted by engagement. So again, it's the one lever you can pull that will impact all of these, as opposed to a different lever for each one of them. And I want you to not think of employee engagement as an extra thing to do that's loaded into your backpack of that weight you've got on your shoulders. I want you to think of employee engagement as the way you manage. And I can help you get there and help you understand how you can do that, so that employee engagement should be the thing, the primary thing you think about every day when you come to work, not the big project or initiative that's weighing down on you. Because when you engage your employees effectively, they help you accomplish those things. Again, there's that great definition of engaged employees. They contribute to their organization in a positive manner. So let's get right into this. The first element of employee engagement. I know what's expected of me at work. Substantial gains in this element correlate to productivity gains of 5 to 10%. That's huge, and we'll talk more about that. But on average, about half of workers are unclear about what's expected of them. So you think, well, maybe I should give them the job description and explain that to them. But it's not that at all. It's not about the job description. A key action you need to do is define expectations, measure outcomes, and report findings. When people know what they're being measured against and know what the results of those measurements are, that's how they know what's expected of them at work. It's not about the job description. It's not about what you did last week. It's all about what's important to you. And what's important to you is what you're measuring. The second element of employee engagement, I have the materials and equipment I need to do my job right. Low engagement here contributes to stress, depression, and high blood pressure. It affects people's health. So when we talk about absenteeism, they're not just calling in because they don't want to come to work. They're calling out because they can't come to work. They're physically ill. Their low engagement is making them sick. Managers with top quartile performance here average 20 to 40% lower employee attrition. Your key action is to gain an understanding about what equipment employees lack. And I know we hate to ask those questions because we're afraid of what they're going to tell us. But even if you can't get them everything they need, they want to know that. They want some transparency as to what you can provide and what you can't provide. The third element of employee engagement, at work, I have the opportunity to do what I do best every day, and this is all about talent. I mentioned, I think at the beginning, that I'm a Gallup certified StrengthsFinder coach, and StrengthsFinder is the way to find out what people are best, what people do best every day. And it's not going to tell you exactly those things, but it's going to be the start of how you can find out what they do best every day. Individuals who use their strengths every day have 7.8% greater productivity. That's 37.44 more productive minutes every day. And when you've got that, then that's across 13 employees. So you have a team of 13 employees. If you've got 7.8% greater productivity, you're going to have a full-time equivalent based on those numbers alone, and 7.8% greater productivity. When you have people working with their strengths, that's just average. You might have more, you might have a little less than that, but can you imagine getting a free full-time equivalent out of the 13 that are already on your team, or every 13 that are on your team? People who use their strengths every day are 6 times more likely to be engaged at work. Your key action here is to individualize roles based on the strengths of each employee. They're not going to be good at everything. Not everybody's going to be able to do the whole job description. So figure out who among your employees is going to be best at what, and then you've got to individualize your approach. Sounds like more work? Sure, it's more work, but that's what you get paid to do. That's why you're the manager. The fourth element of employee engagement: in the last 7 days, I received recognition or praise for doing good work. I talk to managers every day in my business of consulting them and making good managers great. And a lot of them tell me, this just isn't me. I just don't give praise for people coming to work. And that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking you to find them, catch them doing good things. And if you tell me, as so many managers have, they don't do good work every 7 days, then I'm going to ask you, why do you keep them employed? Why are you keeping them around? Either way, it's a management problem that you need to resolve, and you need to resolve quickly. The number one reason people leave is that they don't feel appreciated. And 61% of U.S. workers report receiving no recognition for doing good work in the past year. That stays around 60% in any given year. We can do better. Your key action here: make sure you're praising and recognize employees frequently. Catch them in the act of doing good work. And if you're going to tell me that I don't do that just because I don't appreciate people just for coming to work, well, what if they didn't come to work? Would you learn to appreciate it if all of a sudden tomorrow nobody showed up? I think that would have an impact on you. So I think you're probably more thankful than you think you are about them just showing up. The fifth element of employee engagement: my supervisor or someone at work seems to care about me as a person. Managers with the lowest quartile ratings here have as much as 22% higher turnover. That's not good. So what you need to do is create an environment where each person feels safe and supported, and listen to individuals and respond to their unique needs. Solicit information about them so that you can start to care about them as an individual. The sixth element of engagement: there is someone at work who encourages my development. 40% of employees say no one is looking out for their development. And less than 1% of those who have no mentor are able to achieve engagement through the other 11 elements. If you fail here, you just fail, period. Here's the upside: 9 out of 10 employees who report having someone who encourages their development are classified as engaged. So also, if you succeed here, you succeed overall in engaging your employees. The sixth element is pretty important. Let's go to the seventh element. At work, my opinion seems to count. Nearly half of employees who say their opinion counts at work also feel their job brings out their most creative ideas. This is where innovation comes from. If you can really sincerely help your employees feel their opinions count, they're going to be more creative, more innovative, and more productive for you. A key to success here, a key action you can take, is to solicit opinions in one-on-ones and periodic Q&A forums and team meetings, or wherever you might have employees gathering. Again, sometimes we're apprehensive to ask because of what they're going to ask and whether or not we can commit or deliver. That doesn't matter. It's about telling people, or it's about soliciting those opinions and telling people what you legitimately can and can't do and why. The eighth element of employee engagement: the mission and purpose of my organization makes me feel my job is important. Mission-driven teams have 15 to 30% lower turnover. This isn't about just sharing a mission statement with them. It's about helping them understand exactly how what they get paid to do ties into what you're doing as a team and also as an organization. Excellent performance occurs when people are deeply attached to a sense of purpose. They need it. This is one of the answers to your millennial conundrum. You're worried about how to deal with millennials because you've heard so many things about how they're different. Well, honestly, they are, but these 12 elements are the 12 elements that millennials are after as well. The ninth element of engagement, my associates or fellow employees are committed to doing quality work. I'll tell you right now that when you get a low rating here, it's probably because someone is dragging their feet and getting away with it. It's not just about dragging their feet, but that they're getting away with it. So you as a manager are failing to do what you need to do and have that tough conversation. But here's the key, here's the kicker for you. The worst performer on your team sets the team standard no matter what else you say. So you need to hold people accountable for doing quality work. Let's go to the 10th element. I have a best friend at work. There is not a week that goes by when I don't read something either on LinkedIn, Harvard Business Review, Inc.com, somewhere where somebody says, when are we going to stop asking about the best friend at work? And it makes me laugh because I want to tell people, and I usually do, when I see those, I'll comment and say, with all due respect, you don't understand how much that really tells us. It gives us a wealth of information. People who have a best friend at work are 7 times as likely to be engaged. Not only that, people who report having a best friend, people who are on highly productive teams almost always strongly agree that they have a best friend at work. And on the flip side of that, people who are on low productivity teams almost never admit to having a best friend at work. You need to create opportunities for people to get to know one another and create close, trusting relationships through projects, social gatherings, whatever it takes at work. You can't force people to have a best friend at work, but you can enable them to build friendships by not cracking down on water cooler conversations and by allowing them to socialize a little bit. Now, the 11th element of engagement, in the last 6 months, someone at work has talked to me about my progress. This is a huge one. You've got to have those progress conversations. Employees will be more likely to believe they are properly compensated and more likely to stay, and more than 2 times as likely to say they have a great place to work when you're talking to them about their progress. Great managers make sure employees gain a clear understanding of their talents and strengths and help them apply those talents in their role every day. You help them do what they do best every day, but you're going to be talking to them about their progress against those talents. You got to have these discussions frequently. Now, the 12th element of employee engagement is, in this last year, I've had the opportunity at work to learn and grow. When employees feel they are learning and growing, they work harder and more efficiently. Top quartile teams surpass bottom quartile teams by 9% on customer satisfaction and 10% in profitability. You need to be a coach to your team and individualize your approach to their learning and growth and their job based on their strengths. So, engagement where I work. If you want to know more about employee engagement in your team, I have a simple 12-question survey. Takes your employees 5 minutes or less to take. It's just these 12, actually 13 questions. Q00, as you see there, is just about overall satisfaction. Not an engagement question, but it's an interesting to know. But this is the sort of report you'll get by manager, and it can be sliced and diced many different ways. And I can share this with you and your organization. And like I say, it takes 5 minutes or less to take, which is different than most employee engagement surveys I've seen that have 25, 45, 50, 75 questions. It takes employees half an hour to take. Can you imagine a company that has 60,000 to 100,000 employees and all the time, the productive time lost just to take an engagement survey? And most of those questions, because they're beyond these 12, don't even tell you anything that you can effectively work against. You can't do anything with most of that information because you don't know what it's telling you. Why do we ask so many questions? Let me help you and let Qwerke help you measure your engagement with the Q12 Employee Engagement Survey. It's effective. There's a lot of science behind it. It's been built over the past 30 plus years, and we can really give you some effective information and help you drive engagement in your organization. So what's next? I have a little example. You can make a difference. I want to just show you some data. Like I said earlier, only 13% of the global workforce is engaged at work. In the US, it's about 30%. The Gallup the Gallup median's around 47%, and the Gallup's best is around 63%. So where do you fall into this? And honestly, the Q12 is really the only way for you to know where you fall in with the majority of the organizations in the world. So let me help you do that. We can give you how you stack up against Gallup's best, for example. I'm going to skip past that example. It's local. I'm not going to go through the macro and micro approaches. Just going to tell you a success story based on those same bars. Can you have success like they did at Wells Fargo? When Wells Fargo started their quest for employee engagement improvements, they started at around 26% several years ago. Today, they are at 68%, above Gallup's best. Not only that, last fall in Bloomberg Business, or on Bloomberg Business, the website, I read an article that said Wells Fargo's CEO is the best CEO in banking worldwide. I don't think he'd have that distinction if engagement in his organization was still around 26%. This has a big impact. Engagement is important. It's not the soft stuff. It's the hard stuff. It's the tangible stuff. It's the stuff it's the one lever, like I said earlier, that you can pull that drives all of the important measures that you're chasing. So now what's on your mind? If you're here live, type your questions in the chat. If not, if you want to reach out to me later, you can reach me here, Ryan@Qwerke.com. It's RYAN at QWERKE.com. That's my direct line, and I usually pick up 801-879-0282 if you have questions about the 12 elements, or you want to find out what Qwerke can do for you to measure the engagement and help you improve the engagement, make your good managers great, and build the world's most engaged teams. Then contact me there, either at Qwerke.com. Our website is Qwerke.com. That's my email address and my phone number. So we're going to stop sharing right now, and we're going to go back to the video, and just want to again ask you, if you've got questions, reach out to me, RYAN@QWERKE.com. I'm happy to help at any time. This is important stuff, and I want your organization to have some of the world's most engaged teams, and we can do that by measuring through the Q12 and then taking the appropriate steps and mitigation strategies to really make a difference in engagement in your organization. Thanks for joining me today. Watch out for more videos from Qwerke, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Qwerke TV, and you'll see a lot more videos out there that'll be helpful for you and your organization. Thanks.